Here's what I open up with: drilled rotors. I mean, you guys probably, if you pay attention, heard me talk about how I despise drilled rotors. And this is why. I can absolutely, positively, unconditionally, 120% guarantee if you have a set of drilled rotors on track, this is what they will look like after not too many runs. They crack. That's why I only use slotted rotors, because the slots do a couple things. I mean, they allow the gases to escape. When you're hitting the brakes, I mean, the gas is built up between the pad and the rotor. And if you have those slots, that lets the gas escape. It also helps clear brake dust. In the Saline days, we couldn't have slotted rotors, and we had pretty crappy brakes in '86. They're just a single piston 86 Mustang brake, and we'd do a brake change, and the brakes would be, the fronts would be almost on the metal, and the back would be half pad, and that's because all the gases were building up at the trailing edge of the brake pad, and it wasn't making full contact. So that's why you need slots. Slots are really important, and holes are bad, bad, bad. Okay, so for this is kind of how we're gonna be talking about how I do my brakes, and you can kind of extrapolate from that for yourself. But these are the slotted rotors, two-piece slotted rotors. The whole idea about two pieces is you got the outer ring, which is steel, you got the inner ring's aluminum. That helps segregate the heat, keep the heat from traveling through the rotor. If the rotor was all steel, you get heat going right into the bearing and into the wheel. This actually helps keep the bearings and wheel cooler. And typically your two-piece slotted rotors are going to cool up better. They got better vanes, better material. So just all around, I mean, if even on like for the Boss Mustangs that come with the Brembo brakes, I mean, that's not a bad brake package. But if you put a set of two-piece slotted rotors and some decent pads, it kind of changes the whole thing. So like for the SN95 and 197s, for SN95, we've got two-piece slotted rotors for the front. And for the S197s, we got the 14-inch slotted rotors on the front. And then I'll talk about the back. We get a different kit for the back when we get to that a little bit. And then the 550s, we have 550 slotted rotors for 550s, except for the GT350s. Aftermarket two-piece slotted rotors have not been made available yet for the GT350s. So we got the 13.5 for the GT, the 15 for the performance pack, and then the 13 for the rears. Now all the pictures are going to show of the bare packages show holes and slots. We don't have any exclusive pictures of our brakes, although with bare we have our own part numbers, because my brakes only come with slots. But this is what we use. This is our good, really good street performance package, and it's plenty good for novice track. We had Roy do more than a season at HPD with these brakes on there, with obviously good pads and good brake fluid. And I think he may have even done his first race season with these two. I mean, you just go through pads a lot because it's more of an OE type of brake pad that we'll get to in a little bit. But for the for street performance, for novice track, this is a great brake package, and it's pretty reasonable. And that's pretty much what we use that for. Now, 80% of my performance brake packages are the 6S, and it's a full 6-piston. If you can see, it's a really nice big brake pad. They're 0.71 inches thick. The rotors are 14.125. We're in in this package, it's 14 by, I think, 1.1, 1.12, something like that. Where this is 14 by 1.25, which is pretty much like we use on club race cars. So that's kind of like we put that on a lot of stuff. We've got this brake package and 15-inch rotors front and rear for the 550 cars, and we've got 14-inch rotors for the S197s and SN95s. And then, of course, you heard me talk about the Pro 4Rs, my race brake package that we worked with Bear on for quite a while. It took, you know, a couple of years to put this brake package together, but it's as good as you can get for race brakes, and the extremely reasonable. The features, we put about every single feature we could. Now this picture is deceiving here because this just has regular pistons in there, where by the time we went to production, we had the stainless steel castellated pistons that are extra thick. That's to help flow air, a little air in between the pad and the piston, which, you know, helps keep them not from trapping so much hot air inside. And, you know, the calipers, it's a 4-piston caliper, and you can see the pockets where we actually lighten them, so they're lighter. And a 4-piston caliper is lighter than a 6-piston caliper, which is one of the reasons. But this, the genesis on this goes all the way back to 2011. The race brakes that Paul used to win the Pirelli World Challenge GTS Championship. He showed up the first race with the bare 6-piston race calipers, and the SEC said no, it has to be 4 pistons. So Bear made him a special set of 4-piston race brakes, and pretty much sat on the shelf ever since. And then I was talking to Rick, and I wanted to do a really nice brake package that was better than anybody else. And he said, why don't we start with this? I thought, well, that's a great idea. So we took the where Paul left off, and we just kept adding feature to where they are today. And it's got about as many features as the Brembo GTR calipers. I think are $8,700 an axle set, and we've got the price on these down at like $3,900. So that's kind of like, you know, a really great race brakes at a really great price. And also the rotors use R-spec rotors. They're about 7 pounds lighter than the regular rotor, plus they cool better. So that's a double bonus, and they're kind of like semi-floating. It's got the special nuts and washers on there, so it's kind of a semi-floating rotor. So I mean, it's a really cool brake package. We've got them for the front for S197 and SN95, and we also have them for the back of the S197 and SN95. However, there's a caveat. The 8.8 axle has what it's called a C-clip rear end, which means the axles is held in with a C-clip, and that's what this little groove is right here. What happens is you push your axle into the differential, you drop the C-clip on, and then you retract it back, and then right here is where the pin for the planetary gears go, and that pin holds it in place. The only problem is there's ever so little movement. You can push the axles in and out ever so slightly. You know, it's not a lot, just a little bit, but it's enough that if you go around corners and that axle moves in and out, it pushes the brake pads back. So you get what's called pad knockback, which means you go through, let's say you go through some S's, and then if you've got, this is only if you've got solid mounted brakes. You know, if the OE calipers are different, they're designed to work with a C-clip axle. But if we were to put big brakes on there that were solid mounted, you go through a couple of S's and you put your foot on the brake, and there's no pedal. You have to pump it up so you can get the pads back in contact. So that's why we have difficulty putting the excuse me, big brakes on the back of an 8.8 axle. For a while, what we did with Ruby and a number of other cars, there was a company called Wave Track that had a torque sensing differential that was really, really nice, except that it was really hard. Once you got the clips on, it was really hard to get them out. And unfortunately, they don't make that anymore. But that worked really well for the big brakes on the back. And it also helped take some of the D-cell wiggle out of it. The Torsen sometimes does a D-cell wiggle because it's searching for where to go. But the Wave Track didn't do that, which I wish they still made them, but you know, we've just kind of moved on.
Hey,
so,
Ken,
yeah.
Question. Do you not have to run safety wire on those nuts on those rotors you're showing right there?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Because they've got really nice locking nuts. It's a mechanical locking nut, and you don't use the nuts more than once. I mean, more than twice. we'll do one rotor change, and then we'll throw it away and get fresh hardware. So we've never really had a problem with any of the nuts backing off. Now, like a long time ago, you know, when I started racing, we didn't have the quality of hardware we have today. And back then we would safety wire all the nuts on the rotors so that they'd stay on. But with the hardware that's available today, we just don't see the need for it, at least at this level. So it's, yeah, I mean, yeah, I used to, and when we didn't have the hardware we have today, but it's advanced so much we really don't see the need. So what we do for the cars with the C-clipper end, this is a really slick package. This actually is a 14-inch rotor, which is, I think the factory ones are 11 something. So you're up to like a 14-inch rotor, and you retain the factory calipers. What it does, they're just a bracket that just moves the calipers out. So they can put the 14-inch rotor in there. So you get the benefit of 14-inch rotor, and you still retain the factory caliper, so you don't have to worry about the pad knockback issue. And you know, something that I've found in Mustangs is the more brake you put on the back of a Mustang, the more to use the rear brakes. When we first started, I'm going to have the temperatures off probably, but when we first started testing all the brakes on 197s, and we would run around 700-800 degrees rear rotor temperature with a stock rotor. We'd go to the 14-inch and would jump up to like 800 to 1,000, and we do the full race brakes in the back, and it would be up around 1,100-1,200 degrees. So, moral of the story: the more brakes you put on the back of a Mustang, the more it uses it. Especially with like my suspension, where it's got all the anti-dive in the front, and the anti-squat in the back, so the car comes down hard and it uses a lot of rear brake. So that's our little trick to get past the C-clips. And so, and this is, we get to the 550s, and this is, you know, 15-inch slotted rotor on the 550s. It not only works really good, it looks great, and it, again, you can take the GT and the performance pack on the 550s, put the good rotors on it, put some brake pads, high temperature fluid, and you know, you got a real brake package without having to go to, you know, the big 6-piston stuff. And this is the Extreme Plus 15-inch, and I think we have those for the S197 for like the GT500s, if I'm not mistaken. I think there is a package for that. I don't, you know, it's just, you can ask me everything but part numbers and pricing, but I'm pretty sure that's what this, the 15-inch front Extreme is, or this, yeah, that's probably for the SN95. Nope, this has to be for the 550 because there's a front and a rear. So that's the 15. That's the 15-inch setup for the 550s.